This video is concerning a court case that's actively being done. It concerns a person who is an accused individual we're not allowed to say is guilty. And it concerns a motion to dismiss the case against this individual due to a ridiculously stupid-looking error, if it's accurate. Delphi defense motion to dismiss. There's two PDF files linked down below in the description. They're on Google Drive pages, which I find a little disquieting, but there they are. It cites a note from the prosecutor that was handed over to the defense about the following. 2017, February 17th, Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall on the 19th, digital video recording or DVR recording interview, had a program error, a recording program error, and no detectable audio found. I'm going to explain why that's the only thing they're noting. Question, did it have video present but was not found with audio? Then later on it's found to have been recorded over on the 20th of September 2017, many months later. And as this was not found in discovery, and it is information that was used in the process to create a case that ended up affecting this person's client, the defense is saying that they want it dismissed. They also blame a particular subculture in society, but we're not going to do that right now. Let's get on with this. I'm going to pick this apart, but the Reddit posting on it has a set of misquotations and misspellings from apparently typing or cutting and pasting from the PDF file. I had no trouble copying and pasting it from the PDF file that's linked. So anyway, the Reddit posting had the expression on this driver instead of on this drive. Sounded particularly tech ignorant, but when I reread it, because I had to go dig it up for DVR, it said there is no detectable audio found on this drive, not driver. So someone on Reddit was being ignorant, or it's a cut and paste problem. It wasn't a cut and paste problem because I cut and pasted it literally and put it in the description for this video you're going to watch. This was due to a DVR program error discovered on September 20th. All recordings from February 20th of 2017 backwards had been recorded over. So what that means is, for whatever reason that you want to insert into this, they recorded over about a week of interview recordings or other data, or it was just two individuals. Now again, it was two people, Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall, is what is indicated in the paperwork. I don't know if they have anything to do with this. Another third or fourth person are mentioned in this, but I'm just discussing what these are specifically. This would be two out of X number of interviews, and I'm going to point out a few things in a minute. If it's a hard disk-based digital video recorder, which if someone's saying on this drive, which indicates not a tech-ignorant person, but a tech-savvy person saying when they pulled the hard drive out to try to get the recording back, they couldn't find anything. If it's hard disk-based, it may have had an audio-only data packet or data stream error and or a playback failure. But I need the make and model of it. So unless you know the make and model of it, and whether or not it's hard disk-based or SSD drive-based, or it's based on flash drive, unless you know exactly what it is, we don't have any data here. We don't know. They could have been using a dedicated piece of equipment to do audio-video recording depending on what input was given, and some of them, if you're not aware of it, will let you put in video only for CCTV equipment, and if you don't introduce audio, it doesn't bother including an audio stream, which means the recording wouldn't have had a, quote, let's read that back, DVR program error. It could have had an error because someone forgot to plug in the microphone, or the microphone was just turned off. Many DVR recorders are made to where if you don't feed them audio, or if the audio is damaged or destroyed or disrupted, or if it's a specific thing like 60 Hz hum, it will refuse to record it because the equipment is designed not to record silence. That's how packet and digital recording can work sometimes. Depends on whether or not they set it for heavy compression. Again, unless I know exactly which make and model and year this thing was put out, I don't know. And inside of it, if it's a hard drive based one or any other thing, I need to know the make and model of the drive in order to evaluate this claim or what it may imply. Also, we should point out here, if you're not aware of it, that defense attorneys, just like prosecuting attorneys, are not required to be particularly accurate or even truthful when they file things. They are not held to the standard of being, under penalty of perjury, providing facts. They could be cutting and pasting stuff and, quote unquote, make a mistake. Or it could be an actual mistake. So let's talk about why somebody might record over it. Very simple. When you do an interview, you take notes and you turn it from what they're talking about to writing it down. You have a stenographer or whatever do the work, if you're doing it professionally and correctly. You also record it on more than one piece of equipment, like an audio recorder, or just record it on your cell phone. If you're going to interview someone for several hours, this kind of behooves you to use a decent audio recorder. I want to point out the best type to do this, and this has been seen in some, is to set up a table with panel microphones. They're also called contact mics. Sometimes they're just glued underneath the table. The whole table becomes a microphone, and it can discriminate between you going and you talking, and it will accurately record the room sound by de-emphasizing impacts, cups falling down, people sliding their hands across, and record the actual audio in the room. It's not necessarily a sneaky way of doing it. It's a way of capturing an omnidirectional recording and not losing anything. It clarifies for voice frequency, which is 3,000 cycles per second down to 300. By doing that kind of audio filter and then having video to synchronize to say, yeah, they were talking to each other, it's not fake, because that might be considered important, a digital video recorder or an audio video recording deck, which is what some of these are, could have had an error where it just didn't have audio. It could also have packet error. It could have also been doing heavy compression, where it would emphasize the audio and de-emphasize the video, or vice versa. So again, give me the make and model of the machine or I can't go any further. Next, why is this acceptable? And I'm going to say this. Now I want to point out something here. Every time a mass murderer or anybody infamous gets caught, some people will start simping for them and try to defend them and get them released because they are emphasizing going after someone else. If you are not aware of it, this is the Delphi case. And if you're not aware of it, lots of people, we all found out on the internet, had axes to grind against each other and started accusing people of murdering 2 girls. And some of them have YouTube channels where they will never let go of that. And they want to exonerate a guilty person if this guy's guilty. And they will never let go of it. And they are absolutely psychotic about it in comment sections and in some of their videos. Next, we have a defense attorney that may be playing into this, including invoking satanic ritual abuse. Yes, I said it. He's invoking this. Thank you, YouTube, for auto-flagging me for mentioning what the court case said. You know, reporting accurately what's going on in the defense attorney's mind. Blaming Odinism. If you're not aware of it, that's a group of people that pretend to worship some god of some kind, but they're just literally just neo-Nazis and white supremacists. I mean, they have a slightly modified version of a swastika. I'm not even going to address that because every time I hear something like that, it really sounds like a cop-out for somebody, and this is a defense attorney, okay? Is this okay that the police department would erase this? If they kept notes on everybody, if they kept notes on what happened, if they made a little transcript writing it out, even as poorly as police do, that's considered standard procedure in a police department. They're not going to sit there and record on paper 5 hours worth of interview questions and answers where the person just hemmed and hawed and was evasive. Their things they're going to emphasize in a court case is this person who's a witness or this person who is a potential person of interest said these words at this minute, this minute, and this minute. They may be several hours apart because they said these certain statements, and that's what we're basing getting a warrant to search, or why we think they should be exonerated, or why we think that they should be locked up. They emphasize what that person said and the answers and maybe even their demeanor to go further with the case. And if they really couldn't get anything out of this, the recording may or may not have been of any value at all. Is this a desperation move on the defense attorney? If you're not aware of it, a defense attorney's entire job is to go desperate mode, pluck at heartstrings, mess with people's heads, and absolutely look for anything they can find to dismiss a case. This is the defense attorney doing their job. The guy that is on trial here could be guilty as hell, and it won't matter to a defense attorney, because the defense attorney is required to ignore whether or not they believe their client is innocent. They are required to defend them as if they were completely innocent because we have an adversarial system, and the prosecutor is required, whether they believe it or not, to accuse the person and go after them and let the jury decide. That's actually how our system works. I don't know if you understand it. This is not much better than seeing if witches drown or whatever. Okay, it's much better than that. But still, it isn't much better because it's about influencing a group of people. And if both sides are going hell-bent for leather, trying to accuse or exonerate a person, the presumption is this trial by combat, proxy combat between the prosecutor and the defense is our substitute. That's literally the basis for this. I don't know if you understand that. There was I forgot the name of the author, but he was at the time a famous, I think it was Clarence Darrow or something. But he said that this battle between the defense and prosecution are an extension of duels. And that's literally the basis of it. It's very disquieting when you learn this, but literally it's an adversarial system because that's the one that works best in most cases. Because unless you were at the scene of a crime and recorded it, there's no objective way to find out if someone's guilty. There's always a shadow of a doubt. There's never any way of completely exonerating or completely convicting someone unless there's way too much evidence. And at this point, if you haven't noticed, the person who's accused is accused based on finding a cartridge that popped out of his gun and fell on the ground or something, and connecting essentially a cartridge that was not fired, which means it doesn't have very many or any marks on it, and tracing it to his gun and saying it had to only been there during the murders somehow. And if you haven't also noticed, most of us are not privy to any details concerning this due to the sensitivity of it, and honestly, to make sure the court case can go through. Because they noticed a lot of people interfering with the court case by blaming their neighbors. This turned neighbor against neighbor. This let a bunch of people with access to grind come out from under the rocks and start posting anonymous videos on YouTube you can still find in some cases. Heck, you might have been accused. So anyway, a Reddit posting with a typo, it wasn't on this driver, but on this drive, indicates strongly this is a hard drive-based DVR. Again, unless I know the make and model, I don't know that. And I need to know the make and model of the drive if it had a drive. It could have been just a memory chip. I don't know. Next, depending on the year, month, and day this was put out by what company, it could have separate audio and video streams that are pushed together that could be done for heavy compression, or it could be done for optimization for audio, or it might have stored them as a audio-video stream and then a video and then an audio stream at the same time to make sure there was duplicates, and it could have screwed them all up. And again, if the audio wasn't able to be detected by anything, including data recovery people, the video, the visual component of our audio-visual file would be completely worthless. So, okay, I'll cover the Odinism in some of their video if you want. But anytime anybody invokes some obscure belief system and saying it was a ritual, yada yada, I immediately assume it's bullshit because every single other time, period, full stop, it's always been bullshit. No, there aren't. That's not what happens in most cases. But okay, fine. So anyway, except for a misquotation from a Redditor, or a cut and paste error, or somebody just trying to type and transcribe, this isn't hinky. This is an example of the police department finding out that the audio-video recording system made a simple boo-boo. I mean, literally a programming error. Something minor that doesn't normally matter suddenly matters a great deal. And again, this could be just the defense attorney looking for any excuse to throw the case out. Do I believe that this is significant value? No, I don't. That's a personal opinion. That's me flipping a coin. Give me more data and I'll be able to evaluate better. Right now I'm like 2% sure this is of no importance. To the person who posted the request, yeah, you have to find the original file and evaluate it before posting a comment or question about it because someone made an error and threw it off a little bit. And lastly, yeah, this is the kind of thing that happens with the police departments all the time. I mean, the equipment they could have could be 2 years old or 10 years old, and it could have a really old hard drive that just lost data. I'm sure they would have put it through data recovery at that point. And again, just having an error on it on this day could have made a bunch of overwriting copies that screwed them all up without them even knowing it. Unless you review it immediately after the recording, these files could have been dead from the day they started using the recorder until they swapped out the drive. I'll need the make and model of the DVR. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with all that.